And the topic that we do not forget and we will not forget till those who are guilty in the tragedy at Institutska are punished. And now how the state treats Heaven Sotnya will be discussing with Igor Guryk, head of related to the Heaven Sotnya Heroes, CEO, Volodymyr Bondarchuk, Volodymyr Golodnyuk, and Nadiya Melnychuk, and Yevgeniya Zakrevska, the lawyer of the Heaven Sotnya. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm Igor Guryk. I'm the head of the civic organization family of Heaven Sotnya Heroes, and we are here to ask the authorities what's happening in our state, why there are no actions made by the authorities in relation to the heroes of Heaven Sotnya, why the murderers could escape, those who in the period from the 18th of February were killing people who were unprotected. The authorities is not doing anything with investigation, with commemorating the memory. And we will talk about that in more detail. Yevgeniya Zakrevska, our lawyer, will tell you more. Good afternoon. I would like to remind that the General Prosecutor's Office is investigating the criminal case as to murders on the 18th, 20th of February, which is part of a big criminal case as to crimes committed starting from the 30th of November 2013 by the previous authorities. From that big criminal case, the part was separated, which, according to the investigation, is close to completion of investigation. And that is only on some of the group, one of the group of murderers. That does not mean that the General Prosecutor's Office was investigating the whole crime and found all those who were guilty in what was happening on the 20th of February. We're talking only about that day. The General Prosecutor's Office established and suspects several persons out of the group of the special company of Berkut, which were near Zhovtnevy Palace in the morning of February 20, and who were shooting in the direction of the protesters. It's now only about the threat and the killings from that sector, from the places where Berkut people were, the special company that was moving away from Zhovtnevy Palace to Old Barricade and then to the blocks, concrete blocks where the trucks were. It's not about the investigation of the whole case. It's not about establishing all the groups of murderers. We are talking now, and the General Prosecutor's Office is saying that this group of people committed crimes. Only 3 persons were suspected in that, only 3, because even establishing that that was that group of people, we need to personify the responsibility of every person. For that, the person should be present and also the signs of guilt of that person not to be established. And that's very complicated. In that complicated case, the investigation was lucky because one of the main suspects had some specific characteristics which could be identified. And it's not just that that person was the commander of the special company of Berkut, but also he is suspected because he's fixed on a video. We are talking about the commander Dmitro Sadovnik. So that person was identified, was detained. And that is a big luck, first of all, because in fact it's much more difficult to do it than people may think about that. And the fact that the judge of the Pechers court sets this person free, let the person go, because the judge believed that this person will not disappear. It's not just that the judge believed that that person is innocent. No, the judge who let him go had no doubts that all the suspicion is grounded. We cannot talk about the guilt. We can talk only about whether the suspicion was grounded. But the judge had no doubts that the suspicion is grounded, is substantiated. Then it was obvious to pass that decision. For that, the judge well, that the judge let him go just because she believed something. I am sure that the judge believed that her decision will be supported. And then some strange things started in the Court of Appeal. 3 times they were delaying the court proceedings because Dmitro Sadovnik sort of had some disease which was not confirmed. All this period of time, the court did not apply the forceful bringing the suspect to the court. And when finally the issue was brought to the court, it was too late. At what stage was the decision made that Sadovnik will disappear? Was it from the very beginning, or was it taken when he could realize that he has to do it now? I cannot tell. I cannot foresee anything. I cannot see the motives of all people. But that was the operation. And some some authorities were part of it, because without that it was impossible. Sadovnik wouldn't be able to do that on his own, without participation of the judicial authorities, without the Ministry of Interior, the participation, and basically maybe even the prosecutor's office, general prosecutor's office. Also, talking about the Ministry of Interior, If you look at the activities of the minister, there has never been anything expressed by the Ministry of Interior to bring the representatives of Berkut to responsibility. Also, we could see the support of these people. They were putting obstacles to providing information. They were putting obstacles to interrogation of some witnesses. The Ministry of the Interior was hampering the General Prosecutor's Office to investigate this case, which was related to Berkut. I don't want you to have the impression that the victims believe that these are the only people who are to be blamed, that Sadovnik was such a person. Everyone understands that that is just one group, and there could be 2 or 3 or more groups like that. They could have been coordinated. At that stage, the investigation doesn't provide answer to that question. And we'll be trying to have these issues disclosed, even if these 39 persons, even if out of these 39 persons in Berkut group, we will, if we see that some of these people were not killing, we would exclude them from that group. This position is clear, but foreign mass media are trying to present that running away of a person as the gesture of a person who was under the threat to be made responsible for everything. Basically, those people managed to convince even the judge, who knew much more. That is very sad situation.
And later, the court may get, only those 2 people can be brought to the court, Zinke and the Proskin, who are still in custody, and even their sentencing and making them criminally responsible will not provide the investigation with an opportunity to get a step further or higher in this hierarchy of criminal orders that led to this tragedy. If Sadovnik could be a way to get someone higher, Abroskin and Zinchenko, who are just subordinates of Sadovnik, could hardly open this processual way for the court. So this is it, nothing more positive at the moment. Let's listen to representatives of the public organizations, family of the Heavenly 100 heroes. Volodymyr Bondarchuk, I want to add and to make an official statement on behalf of the families of the heroes of Heavenly 100. We are indignant about this state of things and with the fact that the state body is allowed to escape the man who is suspected of killing our families. Our relatives, we are indignant about the decision of Judge Volkova. We have filed more than 8 statements about the criminal content of a judge's actions. We are also indignant about the Court of Appeal decision, who should have watched the house arrest of Dmytro Sadovnik, and now I'm switching to another topic, the topic of preserving the memory of the heroes of the Heavenly Hundred, and also about the recognition of the status of those people. Who are they? Are they heroes? The President of Ukraine and other top officials are calling them heroes of Ukraine, new heroes, heroes of the nation, but at the moment there's not a single legislative document that would confirm this. So there's a great many problems because of this. I'd like to quote a certain chronology of legislative acts that pertain to people who died in Maidan. The first was Resolution 745/7 from the 21st of February this year about the social protection for the relatives of those who died in Maidan from November 2013 to February 2014. This resolution is not being fulfilled. It's just a declaration, and the principles that were introduced are not fulfilled. The next document was the resolution of the Parliament number 4213 from the 4th of April to recommend the President of Ukraine to bestow the title of the Heroes of Ukraine to people who died in Maidan during the Dignity Revolution. Regrettably, this document also remains just a declaration because the Parliament cannot adopt such a decision, and this is an exceptional competence of the President of Ukraine. The next document is the resolution number 76 of the Cabinet of Ministers about the social protection of the families of those who were killed, and two orders of the Ministry of Social Policy, number 276 and number 302. These documents are working, and at the same time in this document, apart from peaceful people who died, it also contains the names of in the Ministry of Interior workers who died in Maidan. So this document does work, and it's mostly fulfilled, but there are several issues. I'd like to quote now the chronology of appeals of the relatives of the Heavenly Hundred to our state bodies. The first date when the families gathered after very sad funerals, after very hard days, after the deaths of our relatives, was the appeal of the General Assembly of the families on the 20th of May, and we appealed to the head of the parliament, Turchinov, and point 4 there was to fulfill the resolution number 4213 about the bestowing of the title of the Heroes of Ukraine to the Heroes of Heavenly Hundred. In a month, they again gathered and appealed to the President Poroshenko. Point 2 was again about the resolution of the Parliament. On the 29th of June this year, the President was addressed by Tamara Shvets, who was instructed so by the General Assembly of the relatives of the Heroes of Heavenly Hundreds about the decree of the President of Ukraine on bestowing the title of Hero of Ukraine. When we lost hope for feedback and having no response in this question, on the 8th of July, most of the families have come to the administration of the President with a demand to hear us, to listen to us, and to talk to us. After 4 hours of standing by the president's administration, we were able to meet the president, and he assured us that he will heed our wishes, but we have to formalize them and to put them on paper. So with this aim, from the 8th of July until the 8th of August, representatives of the families of the heroes of Heavenly Hundred have written 105 personal appeals from 85 representatives of the families, where every family said that our relatives deserve the title of Hero of Ukraine and award with the Order of Golden Star, which is bestowed for heroic deeds and corresponds in the best way to what our relatives have done. After the 8th of August, we started to get formal replies from the administration of the president. As a rule, they were even printed in a neglectable way, and there was a lot of mistakes about, and they said that according to the law on the title of the Hero of Ukraine, citizens cannot initiate the process, but the task of these appeals, which were our answer to the request by the president, was to show the real attitude of the families towards this issue. On the 25th of August, at the General Assembly of our organization, we created a public organization, the Family of the Heavenly Hundred Heroes, that unites all the relatives of people who died in Maidan and whose main task became the public control and providing assistance to the investigation and punishment of the guilty and a just and honest investigation of the killing of our relatives in Maidan. After the public organization was created, we addressed the president on the 12th of August an open letter with a request to solve the issue about the award to our relatives. However, we still don't have the answer to this. We also sent letters to every state regional administration, as the law requires from our public organization, so that they ask to provide addresses about the bestowing of the title of the Hero of Ukraine to our relatives. And after this, there were another 2 letters, including the one about the program on commemorating the heroes of the Heavenly Hundred, because while this program is absent, there's a letter from one of Kharkiv schools. We wrote to them asking them to install a memorial plaque to a hero of the Heavenly Hundred, and the reply from the director of the school was, we don't have any legal grounds to place such a memorial plaque, because there's not a single document that would define who those people are. So we wrote to the president about our vision of the corresponding program, which could solve all such issues.
We have not received any answers from the civil servants, from any one of them. We would like to hear the official answer to our question. Are the Heavenly Hundred heroes of Ukraine or not? And why hasn't their status been recognized yet? Why the significance of the Heavenly Hundred not recognized, just as the significance of the Kruty heroes. If our leaders of the state do not believe that they are heroes, even though they talk about that all the time, let them tell about that directly and we'll be acting differently. If we need to prove that our relatives were heroes, we will do that. Okay, you have not received any answers from the state. Now we have a brief video. Let's start it. This is Sadovnik. He's shooting people at Maidan. This is the president of Ukraine, Poroshenko. He talks about how he respects the heavenly 100. The fight at Maidan lasted for 3 months. On the 18th and 20th of February, more than 100 protesters were killed by snipers. We call them Heavenly 100. We believe that they are true national heroes of our nation, and we applaud to their heroism. Many people believe that independence we got without any efforts. That's not true. For our independence, the generations of Ukrainian patriots were fighting. For that, the heroes of the Heavenly 100 were killed. Every morning after the prayer, I have to think whether my actions are really adequate and whether those people from Heavenly 100 gave their lives not in vain. When I was at Maidan today and I talked to people, myself and Vitaly Klitschko, I saw how the country has changed, how this wound that is still open keeps Ukraine and does not allow Ukraine to go back to the past. These are families of those killed at Maidan. They request for the meeting with the president. Our children and our relatives were killed so that you can lead the country. Please come up to us. They were standing at Maidan, sometimes protecting you. Please don't come to us. You are our president. On the 24th of February, the law of Verkhovna Rada was passed on awarding this title, the hero of the Heavenly 100, and Poroshenko does not sign it. He does not say yes or no. We want to hear the answer. 3 times we were coming with requests, and they send us to different institutions and agencies. Let them tell us what the situation is. In fact, they have forgotten us. They use the Heavenly 100 as a brand. These are the families. That's the tragedy of our country. This part of Institutskaya is all covered by blood of our relatives and by tears of all those who are here. They were there with the ideas of national patriotism. They were not armed against those who were armed. Mr. President, don't hide behind the closed doors. Open the doors to us. open the doors. We came with peace. Mr. President is again commemorating the Heavenly 100. Will those who are guilty be punished? That is the main question that people ask at Maidan. And that is the matter of honor for Ukrainian law enforcement bodies, for Ukrainian judges, for Ukrainian prosecutors' office in the shortest period of time to make responsible not just the snipers who were shooting, but the commanders who issued orders and the political leader who organized the scheme and who is fully responsible for that. I do not want to call the names now, but I'm sure that the decision about that was made at the highest state level, and on how efficient the punishment will be, on how transparent the court proceedings will be. Some people are thinking about the court of lynch. But for me, it is important to preserve the unity of the state, because so that any person who lives in Uzhgorod or Lugansk, so that every person is sure that those people who are guilty in the killing of the Heavenly 100, so that they are punished. Thank you. Volodymyr Golodnyuk, also the member of this organization. Good afternoon. I will sum it up briefly. I'm the father of Ustim Golodnyuk, the young boy. I will be talking not as the father, but as the citizen of Ukraine. I will briefly tell you, just recollect the 30th of November. It started from lies when our members of our families got together at Maidan because of the right to be Europeans. After the beating of them, hundreds of thousands of people came to Maidan, and it ended up in the biggest tragedy in Europe when our relatives were shot. And this moment was used by many politicians who are now holding the highest positions in the government. They have been using the name of Heavenly 100. They were giving oaths. They were promising to punish those who are guilty. And we've been hearing these promises for 8 months. I'm not blaming, but I demand, on behalf of Ukrainian people, I demand start executing your promises, punish the guilty, recognize as heroes those who gave their lives for the will of Ukraine, for the independence of Ukraine. In the future, I demand that the authorities are honest and transparent so that our hopes are not wasted. I demand the president and the prosecutor, general prosecutor, to really do what they should do. I'm not putting a full stop. I'm putting a question mark and exclamation mark. I request everyone to understand we came here not just as relatives who are in sorrow, but as the citizens of Ukraine who have the right to talk. Thank you. Any questions?
Public Association Georgians of the Maidan. I'm Levan. Do you know that the military prosecutor who was recently appointed, Matthews, who was a fierce anti-Maidaner, recently he had an instruction to oversee the investigation on the related to the Heavenly Hundred. Do you know that it is he who is now responsible for this? Who can comment on this? Well, in fact, we don't have this information at the moment, and the official person responsible is Donsky, and we don't have the information that a military prosecutor is in the number as well. We will ask and we will check, but no, we don't have this name on our list. Could you please explain the situation with Sadovnik? Why he was released by the court? The matter is that when Sadovnik had not come to the court session, and he confirmed the reason for his absence, for instance, with the fact that he called an ambulance and the ambulance said that everything was okay with him. And all the 3 days when he did not come to the court, there was no appeal for his forced delivery. And because the representatives of the victims were removed from the hearing, we did not actually demand, we could not demand this. It was filed by the prosecutor's representatives when he escaped. My question is to Mr. Volodymyr, do you get any social payments at the moment? The issue is not about social payments, because this was not our aim. Yes, we did receive 120,000 hryvnia of material assistance, but believe me, I am ready for the lifelong hard labor so that my kid comes back and lives the life that he gave on behalf of others. I am the wife of a person who died in Maidan on the 18th of February. I visited almost all the court hearings, and the organization of those hearings is very interesting. On the first day, 3 busloads of assault police were brought in, and they occupied the premises where there could be only 20 people, and the victims' relatives were not allowed in until we started to bang on the doors. Of course, when we entered, there were cameramen, and they know that from behind their backs, we could not see judges or lawyers or the prosecutor. The lawyer spoke for 2 hours, then the prosecutors were interrupted every 2 minutes, and then they were told that they will be deprived of their word until we started to shout. However, the court stuck to its decision. Oh my God. I forgot. Next time they were looking into the case of Sadovnik, again, the full house of police, but we were allowed in. We were together with Cossacks, and they provoked clashes with Cossacks. There was a clash. A provocateur held me by the hand, and another hand was seized by a judge. I asked him, what do you do? Do you have the right to do this? There were provocations all the time at every court hearings, and the assault police were provoking this. Cossacks supported us in every court session. Next time we came to the court, and we were told, the court building is mine. We won't allow you in. And then from the mouthpiece, it says that everybody is allowed, so the Cossacks jumped in, and we again came to the court hall, and everyone is there while the court building is mined. And there was a real circus last time. The lawyer brought such pile of gratitudes, thanks of different degrees, and even your beloved Yarema signed one of the certificates. But was there a date, I ask, and there's no date, and it is not known what those documents are and what they confirm. So they explain, for the first time Sadovnik was in a hospital with plastic surgery. Next time he was paralyzed, and the ambulance took him away. And then the ambulance came, and his pressure was 120 per 80. But what is the ambulance in this case? He's a worker, an officer from the Ministry of Interior. He goes through medical checkup every year. What's the case of ambulance? Who allowed him to work in the Ministry of Interior? He's a normal person, and the lawyer all the time emphasized that he is a disabled person of the second category. But what he was doing in the troops then, and he's got a good family, and he's well characterized. But what about our kids who remained without any material help? Because there are families where parents did not have official jobs, and they say he's got a very good family, he has mother-in-law, and he supports his wife and 3 kids. But what about the families that were left without their husbands and fathers? There are questions from the audience. And one other remark. There is police, there is assault police, riot police, 10, 20 of them. I come to them and say, "Glory to Ukraine, guys," and they turn their backs to me. I come to them and to a commander and ask why they are not educated. They are calling, they are trotting Ukrainian land, they are gulping Ukrainian bread, and they are ignoring Ukrainian land and Ukrainian people. Let them go where they respect someone if they don't respect us.
I have a question to Yevgeniya. And what about other cases on killings? Sadovnik killed 39 persons. And what do the heroes of the Heavenly Hundred have any status? As to other cases, I repeat, that is one big case. And that's just this episode of a suspicion against this special company which was moving from Zhovnevo Palace. They have some successes in investigation. The investigation hasn't been completed. Objectively, that's a lot of work. Besides that case, talking about Heavenly Hundred, there's a case of Yuri Verbitsky. I believe that we will see the repetition of that situation. There are 2 suspects who were not who were not detained, and before this case was transferred to the court. Tomorrow there will be another hearings in Borispol District Court. Before the case was transmitted to the court, the day before the first sitting, the main suspect disappears. And the wife says that he was kidnapped, and the prosecutor's office does not know what to do now. From the beginning of September, there was not a single court sitting because the prosecutor's office cannot say whether he just disappeared or he was kidnapped. So I believe that maybe the same scenario is in that case.
Всім учасникам я хочу
I would like to thank all the participants, and I would like to inform you that we will have a series, the whole week of press briefings. We will be inviting the relatives of those who were killed at Maidan at Institutska. We'll be inviting the experts, the representatives of the authorities, and we'll be discussing this topic of Heavenly 100.